All right, welcome back to the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm Aaron Breitman coming to you moments after Rutgers' third consecutive victory to start the season, a 35-16 win over Virginia Tech Saturday, September 16th. So, a very interesting game, some good, some concerning things. Overall, Rutgers is 3-0. They had to win these first three games to really have a legitimate shot at bowl eligibility, and they did it. There's been some really encouraging signs. The defense did have, I thought, a good game again today. Virginia Tech obviously had those back-to-back touchdowns in the third and fourth quarter. The offense, ran the ball. I had predicted in my four predictions that they'd rush for over 200 yards. They ran for over 250. Kyle Monungai, another tremendous game. He averaged 8.9 yards per carry, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns. That 55-yard touchdown with Rutgers leading just 21-16 with 10 minutes to play, put the game away, changed the dynamic of the game, eliminated any potential real threat from the Hokies, and has just been a monster for this team. He's been so reliable, and he runs so hard, and it's pretty amazing in terms of what he's become for this specific team. We've seen flashes in the past. We're all clamoring for Sam Brown, and then Kyle Monungai just grinds it out. And he got, he added weight, he added muscle this offseason, and it's really benefited him. And he just runs so hard. And he ran Rutgers to victory today. First play of the game, obviously, the fumble, or second play from scrimmage for Virginia Tech, Drones, who I thought, played pretty good. I think he's going to be pretty good for Virginia Tech. Rutgers is going to have to deal with him next year in Blacksburg, but we don't have to worry about that right now. But the big concern is the third quarter, right? Rutgers gets a big lead. They were up 21-3 at the half. Gavin Wimsatt with that great run. I think it was 35 yards in the second quarter. Great call, great execution. And then that really good throw to Christian Dremel to end the half. You got to love Christian Dremel, most improved player in the spring, has come out, and he's been a reliable receiver for Wimsatt and Rutgers this season so far. He had, that great fourth down conversion in the first game. He led them with 3 catches, 34 yards today. Not a lot of receiving help out there. Wimsatt did miss, several throws, but the play calling in the third quarter, just so conservative. 3 and outs. Rutgers just trying to run it. The offensive line, listen, they created holes at times. But when everybody in the building knows you're running the football up the middle, it's easier to defend. And Rutgers just has gotten into this pattern of building big leads, letting their opponents back in it. Second week in a row that their opponent got in within 1 score of the fourth quarter. And I looked it up. All 3 games now, Northwestern, Temple, and this game, Virginia Tech, 9 drives in the third quarter, 8 punts, and 1 touchdown, which was Kyle Monungai. He had that 20-yard reception when he broke a tackle, and then he had that 15-yard touchdown run. 8 punts, 1 touchdown. And what happened today is that the defense got worn down by its own lack of production from the offense, which we've all feared and we've seen many years has happened. And that happened in the third quarter. And Virginia Tech got back in the game because of it. And it's a dangerous game to play. I don't think it's a winning formula in the Big Ten. You're not going to be able to grab a big lead and then just shut it down and hope that you can just win time of possession. And this tonight was the first game, Rutgers. I didn't see the final, but it was at one point it was 27 minutes to 21. Virginia Tech. It probably kind of evened out. But Rutgers was on the shorter end of that, the most of the game. And when you're in the Big Ten, you got to keep playing. I mean, you can't win games 20-17 every week. That's just not college football nowadays. You have to keep scoring. And Rutgers, so that's the concerning part. That's the frustrating part, right? There's plenty of people frustrated on social media by it. Gavin Wimsatt, again, did struggle with accuracy. But let's look at the positives. Let's look at the flip side. Gavin Wimsatt, 3 games, no interceptions. The offense had 0 turnovers today. The defense had 2 takeaways, right? So there are now 6 takeaways on the season and 2 turnovers. 1 on the offensive side through 3 games. That's growth there for sure. They're running the ball really well. And let's be honest, we're complaining about certain things in a 19-point win over a Power 5 team. So things are certainly better. Rutgers just beat Virginia Tech for the first time in 13 meetings, first time since the 92 Halloween Homecoming Classic. What drives that? I wrote about this week. So that is satisfying. And, I'm going to expound on this soon. But the fact is, 3 years in a row, you've beaten Syracuse, Boston College, both on the road, and then Virginia Tech. 3 former Big East foes that used to beat Rutgers on a regular basis. So you have to look at the full context. You have to look at the full perspective. None of those programs are very good right now. Syracuse is all right, but Rutgers is, they're at a certain level. They're not things. Listen, Gianno's made them better. How much better will this team be? We still don't know. There were certainly some warning signs today, no doubt. But at the same time, the defense had 4 sacks. The offense, almost 50% execution on third down, 6 of 13, not bad at all. They're right around, right at 48% for the season now. They only committed 4 penalties, one of which was intentional for the punt team. There were no major special team blunders. So this is, there's a lot to like that gets lost in. Again, I talked about this last week. It's like, you say you're okay with 6-6, but then you watch the game and you're wanting perfection, and that's just not going to happen. This is not a great team. Can they be a good team? They could. I don't think they are yet, and we won't really know, right, until they get into the thick of Big Ten play. And obviously, monster test next week, going to Michigan, number 2 team in the country. They play tonight, but playing Bowling Green shouldn't be a problem. That's going to be a huge test. Rutgers has actually played Michigan really well the last 3 years for the most part. They led them at halftime last year. They lost last time at the Big House, 20-13. Their defense played great. If their offense was what it is now, I think they could have fared better in that game. And then obviously the triple overtime COVID Classic. But the bottom line is this team is 3-0. They got the 3 wins they had to get. And, the offensive line is still, a work in progress. Receivers, has been a lot of inconsistency and some, availability issues. Chris Long missed a second game in a row with an injury. Nassim Brantley is not eligible, and they were counting on him. So that's a problem. Sam Brown got a few carries, but not really sure if they're just kind of slowly working him back, if they don't feel like he's ready to take on more. I mean, I think it's good that they're not overloading him. But obviously, Kyle Monunga is doing great. Benjamin, when he came in, had some bursts, but Gavin Wimsatt really, I think, looked good as a runner today. He averaged 7.9 yards a carry. Aside from his 35-yard touchdown, he rushed for 89 yards, I believe. So that was a good thing to see there. The defense continues to swarm. Yes, they got worn down a little bit today. And yes, the way they're playing right now, the style in which they're playing, is that going to translate in the Big Ten? Perhaps the argument is being made that they're saving certain things for the Big Ten, and that's why the play calling is what it is. I think overall the coaching has been excellent. I think that this team is, playing in an organized and prepared way. They're not making critical mistakes. They're not hurting themselves. And when they have an opportunity to hurt the opponent, they do. And that's something we're certainly not used to as Rutgers fans in terms of taking advantage of opponent mistakes. And they're doing that. So this is a well-coached team. It's not an explosive team. It's I think a defense that could be really good. And, the Big Ten games they're going to have to win and have a chance to win is, obviously Michigan State at home, at Indiana. I think they have a shot at Iowa, and then you have Maryland. Those are the 4 games that you're looking at that you say, okay, Rutgers could win those games. And I don't think anything changed from before today. Are they going to, go and be even be super competitive against Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan? If the defense has a tremendous day, the offense, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to run against those teams very well. And I think, listen, it'd be great if they did. But that would be a bonus. That would be a bonus. You have 4 winnable Big Ten games. You have Wagner coming up after Michigan. You're going to be 4-1. And yeah, Wagner's one of the worst FCS teams. So I'm not jinxing anything. If they lose that game, then, somebody's got to get fired. But the bottom line is you're 4-1 going into October. I talked about in the preseason, hope me to October. Get through that 3-game stretch, win all 3. And Rutgers did. And what was the combined score of their victories? I mean, they won by 17, they won by 29, and they won by 19. So they won by 36, 65 points. They beat all three opponents. So we can complain and be concerned all we want, but there's definite progress that Rutgers won 3 games, 2 against Power 5 opponents, neither very good, but not the point. Rutgers dominated them. They covered all 3 games, and they won pretty comfortably in all three. Yes, there were tense moments in this game and the Temple game, but Rutgers responded to both of those threats really positively. So there's a lot to like, and we go in now to a very interesting game next week, and October is going to be. I mean, listen, worst case, they it doesn't matter if they get blown out at Michigan. Obviously, you want to see them competitive, right? We all want to see that. You beat Wagner. Say, at Wisconsin, it's not. I don't think it's unwinnable. I think if they play their best, I think they could win. But say you lose, right? You're 4-2. You come home. You have Michigan State on homecoming, and then you have at Indiana. The chance to be 6-2 at your bye week before Halloween, it's legitimately a chance. They legitimately have a chance, and that's where you need it to be at this point in the season, and that's where they are. So that's a big positive. Um, Other thoughts in the game, I thought that in terms of the defense, Flip Dixon had that big interception. That was really big. I thought, a bunch of pressures and sacks. Aaron Lewis had his best game. I think he had 7 or 8 tackles. Powell was all over the place. He had a big game. The defense is just disruptive, and they're swarming. They're getting tackling, and I'm just really encouraged by how well they're playing. And, this is special teams. I mean, Flynn Appleby represented pretty well. McAtamey, didn't have a touchback that first one, but the coverage unit did pretty well. So I think special teams is looking pretty solid. They almost had a block at some point early in the game. I forget when, on a punt. So, I think special teams is coming along pretty well. The defense is coming along pretty well. And listen, the offense, I mean, there's limitations, but they scored 35 and 36 points back-to-back weeks, one of which against a Power 5 team, and it's that's huge progress. Their worst offensive output, they scored 24 points. We would have taken 24 points last year. We would have paid money for that. So certainly huge gain there. And just the fact that they are able, even with offensive line issues, they're running the ball really well. So that is encouraging. And I'll have to dive deeper into the rotations and all that. And I'm going to dive deeper into the third quarter. Like I said, that's been a big issue. But the responses in the fourth quarter are super positive. So there's a lot to like. Rutgers is 3-0. Rutgers is 3-0. It's the third time in a row, but this one definitely feels this is a better team. This is the best team Shiano's had since he's been back, and they have a legitimate chance with the schedule, with the way things have broken so far, that they can become bowl eligible. And even if I have more hope now that even if they don't get to 6 before the bye week, I think they could pay, if they can get to 5. I think they have a shot to get a 6 in November, whether that's at Iowa or Maryland at the end of the season. I think there's a chance. So, going into the season, I wasn't so sure or confident. Like I said, I picked them 4-8. I would love to be wrong. I hope they, get 6, 7 wins. Who knows? So it's all still on the table. Everything that they wanted for this season still on the table, and that's good news. So take it for what it is. And this team's a work in progress, but it's better to be a 3-0 work in progress than anything worse. And credit to the coaching staff and credit to the players. And we'll have plenty of post-game coverage here at the Scarlet Faithful and a big ramp-up week. I have a couple guests lined up already for Michigan week, and we have a lot to talk about. So thank you for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful.